Hi there. Let's really quickly talk about comic books. So, when you buy a comic book like this, it has, and as you go through all these pages, it has a bunch of blocks and bubbles with, some blocks have text like this and some don't. If you have vision and you can see and you can read, obviously going through this comic and understanding what's going on is very, very easy because you can, first of all, read what's in the bubbles. And second of all, you can also see people's expressions. You can understand the scene that's being described and really, understand what's going on in throughout the comic book. Now, think about people who are blind, who cannot really see, who cannot really read what's in this comic book. Now, how can we make sure that a blind person can still enjoy this book without really like losing the fun elements of it? And I say losing fun elements of it because one thing we can do possibly is just like create some sort of an audiobook where we just narrate everything that's written in the comic book, right? But then what do you do with the scenes, for example, this one right here, where there's no bubble, there's no text. So we'll have to explain all of that in our audiobook. Uh, Also, in many cases, the expression of the characters is really, really important. So for example, here you can see that this kid, uh, so like this one right here, this kid is in some sort of a pensive mood. So you're kind of thinking something. There's something going on in his mind. So how do you explain all of that? So that's the point. You have to explain all of it, right? So in order to make this accessible, in order to make this comic book fun, you can, Alexa, turn on desk lamp. Apparently it's 11:30 p.m. Anyway, a little bit of a mishap there. So you can create your own like DIY audiobook solution, and you don't necessarily have to just narrate what's in it, right? You can make it much more dramatic. You can make it much more exciting by making sure that you use different types of like voices and intonations and even like sound effects so that whoever's listening to it, the content of this comic book, first of all, you preserve the intensity of the scenes and also at the same time make things much more fun. So just to show you what you can do, I'll probably create another not probably, I will create another video where I show what we're doing here, how we can create your own audio version of this comic book. But what we are also doing is not just, so I have used my microphone to record what's in this comic book, but I'm not just narrating what's in it. I'm also explaining certain scenes. And in fact, let me show you one page right here. So if you look at this, for example, so these two pages, there are certain scenes where there's a text description. There are characters speaking to each other, but then there are these kinds of scenes where there's nothing, there's no explanation, there's no text, and you have to really visually see that the father is ordering from a menu and the waiter's taking down, is writing what they need, and then we're eating something, we're eating the food, and then we are also like finally wiping our faces. And then when we are exiting the restaurant, I take I turn around and I look at the video game there, right? So how do you make sure that you explain all of this? So if you have software like GarageBand, if you're a Mac user, or Audacity, or any other like audio recording software, you can first of all record your narration, and then second of all, what I would also recommend is adding some like sound effects, right? So if you look at websites like and all you have to do is search for like free audio clips, sound effects, and then there are these websites like Free Sound and Splat, etc. And from here you can search for certain types of audio clips that can add to the scene that's being described. For example, if I look at this scene right here, this is a restaurant scene, right? So in my audio comic book, I decided to add a restaurant background noise. And just to show you what it's like, and in fact, so this whole thing is only a minute or so. So let's see what it sounds like. I saw my first arcade video game when I was 6. It was a beat up old Pac Man coin op, and it sat in the lobby of a Chinese restaurant just down the street from our home. Come on, Dennis, our table's ready. In a minute, Ma, I said. For some reason, I kept staring at that video game. So this is what I'm describing here in this scene right here. Dennis! My mother exclaimed. Be right there, Ma, I politely replied. Father says now, she said authoritatively. So we're trying to explain the mood of the parent, right? And what their state of mind is, and that they're agitated that I am not budging from my position. So we're kind of trying to explain all of that in this audio. As soon as we were seated, a waiter came and Father ordered food for all of us. So now you can hear the restaurant background noise. So this is something I downloaded from one of those free sound clip websites. So as I narrate the scenes, there's also a background restaurant noise, just to indicate that we are eating at a busy restaurant. The food soon arrived, and we ate that delicious meal very quickly and wiped our faces clean. However, for some weird reason, I could not stop thinking about Pac-Man. Which is this right here. I've been thinking about Pac-Man throughout the meal. As we were exiting the restaurant, right here, I turned around and gave that good old Pac-Man coin op one last look of admiration. Just a little sound effect for when we got home, cuteness. I went straight to bed. And from then on, I dreamed in pixels. And we ended with some music, some dramatic music, because this right here is an important part of the story. And what we are saying is that from here on out, the story it takes a dramatic effect. There's so many things that happen in the future, hence that dramatic music. So this is a concept project that I thought of, and I just started working on it tonight. I will add more to it, and we'll have more discussions around it. And keep in mind that this is for like personal use only. If you have a child, if you have a student who you think can benefit from something like this, definitely make use of it. But just keep in mind all sorts of like licensing terms and whatnot, because you don't know how crazy these like publishing companies can be and authors can be, and etc. Right? So the idea behind this concept project is not so you can convert comics into audiobooks and start selling them, right? So the whole purpose is that you create them for personal use, for someone you love, for someone you know. All right, so the next video I will show, I'll basically recreate this just so you understand how we can come up with something like this. Let me know what you think of this. Do you think this is helpful for blind people? Do you think there's anything else we can do or we shouldn't do? Let me know for sure. All right. Thank you for watching.